Hello again. Today is day 2 in my video series talking about creating your own breakthrough in life. And today I want to talk about the 3 things that might hold you back once you've decided you do want to create a breakthrough. So if you watched my previous video, we talked a little bit about what the reason might be why you never even take that first step and you don't feel the impetus to go on and actually think about changing something in your life. Now, assuming you've actually made that decision, these are the 3 F's that I think often can hold you back. So the first F is fog. And this could be seen as the fog that's outside of us. So if we're in a comfortable, safe place where we've been for a long time, the idea of stepping out of that into the relative unknown where we have no idea what the outcome might be, that can feel scary. It can feel like stepping into a fog. But the real fog that most of us are held back by is not the one that's outside. It is the one that is in our minds. It is that accumulation of stuff, over our lifetime, the stuff that we've actually learned, the stuff that's been told to us, the stuff that limits us from actually achieving things that are genuinely possible for us. And I kind of like to think about it like, say, a wardrobe or a cupboard where you've over time accumulated a lot of stuff, and every time you get something new, you just kind of shove it in on top of the stuff that you already have, and you've never really had the time or the opportunity to go and look to see what's actually in there and whether it still serves you. Now, anyone who's done a good decluttering exercise will know how good it feels when you actually do that. Because 2 things happen. One is you actually find things that you'd forgotten you even had, and the joy of, it's almost like finding it again for the first time. But it's also discovering there's so much stuff that's taken up so much space that you don't want anymore, that you don't need in your life. And clearing those things out of your your wardrobe or your home, and then creates space and light for new stuff. And exact same process applies in our heads and to some extent in our life, in looking at the place we're in, the people who are with us, and the thoughts that actually follow us every single day. So if you can find a way to get clear and clear that fog in your head, then you are going to be one step further in terms of beginning to create a breakthrough. I'm going to talk a little bit about how you actually do that, decluttering of the mind and getting clarity. I'll do that in a separate video. So the second F that I want to talk about is fears. Now, we all have fears, and some of those fears are known to us. So you might be somebody who says, I'm scared of spiders, or I'm scared of heights. And whether or not you're actually scared of them, that's another topic altogether. We're not going to go into that. But the point is that you have identified a fear, and you would choose either to let that rule your behavior, or you're going to try and overcome it. But what about the fears that you have within you that maybe you're not even aware of? Because we all have them. We have certain conscious fears and we have a number of subconscious fears. So I think the process of sitting down and once again uncovering the fears that we have within us that might be influencing our behavior and our choices and decisions is a first big step. So once you've uncovered them, you can then face them, and then you can actually find a way to overcome them. But it's a step-by-step process that is absolutely necessary if you're going to create a breakthrough. And the final F is one we've all experienced at some point in our lives, and it's called failure. Now, you might be somebody who has been very lucky or very successful in your life. Maybe you're extremely talented, you are very brilliant, and you have never really experienced a setback or failure. If that's the case, there's a very strong possibility that you are actually more than most averse to failure, and that you avoid it at all costs because you just don't know how it feels and you don't want to find out. But there's also a possibility that because you have got so used to being successful that you have avoided possibilities or situations or opportunities where there's a potential that you could fail. And what that means for you is that you have probably, without realizing, stayed within the comfort zone, stayed within your known zone of genius, and not really explored what more is possible for you. So if you're now looking to create a breakthrough and build something, create a future that is bigger, bolder, more beautiful than the one you already have. And it's possible that in your mind's eye you see it, but it kind of almost feels like an impossible dream. Then there is a real possibility that you need to allow yourself to occasionally fail. And actually, don't think about failure as this kind of, do or die situation where, if it happens, that's basically the end of that. It doesn't have to be like that. It is simply a lesson, and it's an opportunity to learn from it and to do something a bit differently. Whole of evolution, whether it's in our own lives or whether it's in, the history of mankind and life in general, has been a series of mini failures from which people have learned, come back stronger and done things differently. So those are my 3 F's, your fog in your mind as well as the one outside. The thing is, once you've cleared the fog inside your mind, you tend to become more fearless. And of course, on top of that, if you can then identify your fears and uncover them, face them, and then confront them with a view to overcoming them, or at least being aware of them, then you are much more ready to take on challenges. And in those challenges, you will also probably become more resilient and emotionally ready to experience failure. So with that, I'm going to end today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please join me again tomorrow. I will have another video just taking the next step into creating a breakthrough. Bye-bye.